There are mysteries in the Bible that silence even the loudest of questions. Moments so divine, so otherworldly, that words themselves tremble before describing them. Seeing the throne of God, the center of all creation, the dwelling place of unapproachable light, is one of those moments. And yet, 5 men, mortal men, stood before that throne. They did not merely dream. They saw. They beheld what few could even imagine: the dazzling brilliance of God's throne, the living creatures, the endless fire, and the ones seated in unimaginable glory. Who were these men? How could they stand before such holiness and live to tell the tale? And what did they see that changed them forever? It began on a mountain, a place of smoke, thunder, and trembling earth, Mount Sinai. The people below were terrified, but one man climbed higher into the storm. His name was Moses. He had spoken with God before, through a burning bush that refused to die, through the voice that thundered from the cloud. But this time was different. This time, Moses asked for something no human had ever dared to ask. "Show me your glory." It was not enough for him to hear God's voice. He wanted to see him, the essence, the radiance, the throne itself. But God's answer came like a wind from eternity. "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." Yet mercy found a way. God told Moses, "There is a place near me where you may stand on the rock. When my glory passes by, I will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you shall see my back." And so it happened. Hidden in the cleft of a rock, Moses stood between earth and heaven as divine presence filled the air. The thunder ceased. The fire calmed. Then the Lord, creator of all, passed by. Moses did not see the throne in full glory, yet he glimpsed the afterglow of eternity, the radiant trail of God's presence that even the angels bow before. When he descended from the mountain, his face shone so brightly that the people were afraid to look at him. He had seen just a trace of what exists beyond human comprehension, and even that fragment transformed him. That moment, the seeing of God's back, remains one of Scripture's greatest paradoxes. Moses did not behold the throne directly, yet he stood in the same presence that surrounds it. He witnessed the divine procession, the majesty that flows from the throne room of God itself. For Moses, the vision was not a privilege, it was a commission. From that light, he received the law, the covenant, and the command to guide a nation born from dust into destiny. But Moses was only the first. There would come others, prophets, priests, and outcasts, who would step across the veil and behold the throne in visions so vivid they would shake nations. Far from the comfort of home, a young priest sat in exile beside a river in Babylon. His name was Ezekiel, and his people were captives, torn from Jerusalem, their temple in ruins, their future uncertain. But then the heavens opened. It was not a dream. It was not imagination. It was a vision that split reality open like lightning across the sky. Ezekiel looked, and what he saw defied every law of nature, every boundary of the human mind. He saw the throne of God. And it began with a storm. A great cloud came from the north, glowing with fire and flashing with lightning. Within it was something alive, something burning with motion and purpose. He described them as living creatures, each with 4 faces and 4 wings, moving like flames that never die. One face like a man, one like a lion, one like an ox, and one like an eagle. They did not turn as they moved. Wherever the Spirit went, they went, swift, fierce, unstoppable. And beside each creature, Ezekiel saw a wheel intersecting another wheel, shining like crystal, full of eyes. Wheels within wheels, spinning in perfect harmony. To the ancient prophet, It was as if the very machinery of heaven had descended to earth. Above them stretched something like a crystal sky, clear, awe-inspiring. And above that, a throne. On the throne sat one in appearance like a man, glowing with fire from the waist up and down, encircled by a brilliant rainbow. It was glory that no human tongue could capture, and Ezekiel fell on his face. He had not merely seen a throne. He had seen the throne chariot of God, the Merkabah, as ancient rabbis later called it, the moving seat of divine authority. In this vision, God was not stationary. He was in motion, ruling not just from the heavens, but over the chaos of exile. It was a message to a broken nation. Even when his people are far from their land, God's throne is not confined to one place. He reigns everywhere. Ezekiel's vision of the throne was not just majestic, it was terrifying. It revealed a God who cannot be contained, whose glory burns through exile, judgment, and restoration alike. And from that burning vision, Ezekiel was called to speak, not soft words, but fire-touched prophecies that would shatter stone hearts. He saw what few ever saw. He witnessed the motion of heaven itself. But Ezekiel was not the only one. Long before him, another man, a priest from the courts of Israel, also saw a throne high and lifted up, and the train of divine majesty filling the heavens. The year was marked by sorrow. The mighty King Uzziah was dead. The throne of Judah stood empty, and the nation trembled in fear. But while a mortal throne was vacant, another throne was revealed. And standing in the temple, Isaiah the prophet lifted his eyes, and what he saw would mark his soul forever. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. There it was, the throne of glory, not in a palace, not in heaven afar, but in the midst of the temple, burning with divine majesty. Above it stood the seraphim, fiery beings whose very name means burning ones. Each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And they cried out in thunderous unity, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." The foundations shook. Smoke filled the air. The temple trembled as heaven and earth met in sound and fire. Isaiah fell to his knees. "Woe is me, for I am undone, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." It was not triumph he felt, it was terror, for no one could see such holiness and remain untouched. But then, one of the seraphim flew to him, holding a live coal from the altar, glowing, radiant, alive. The burning one touched the burning coal to Isaiah's lips and said, "Behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away, and your sin is purged." That single touch transformed him. The prophet who once trembled now stood cleansed and commissioned. He had not only seen the throne, he had been purified by its fire. From that throne came his calling. "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" And Isaiah replied, trembling but resolute, "Here am I, send me." The throne of God, for Isaiah, was not merely a sight of glory. It was a furnace of holiness, consuming, refining, and remaking. From that encounter, his voice carried heaven's words to a fallen people. But Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Moses were not alone in their visions. There were others, men who glimpsed that same throne, each in a moment of divine unveiling. One of them was a man of wisdom and suffering, who saw the Ancient of Days seated among the clouds. And the last was an apostle exiled to a lonely island, who looked up and saw heaven itself opened. The throne of God is not bound by time. It appeared to men across centuries, each one chosen for a purpose, each one seeing from a different angle of eternity. And now, we come to the final two. He was a captive in Babylon, a man of wisdom and integrity. Daniel, a prophet who stood unshaken before kings and lions alike. But one night, in the stillness of a vision, Daniel's eyes opened to the realm of the eternal. He wrote, "I watched till thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, his hair like pure wool, his throne, flames of fire, and wheels of burning fire rolled beneath it. Thousands upon thousands ministered to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the court was seated, and the books were opened." In that moment, Daniel beheld the judgment seat of God, the throne from which every kingdom rises and falls. He saw the Son of Man approaching the Ancient of Days, clothed in glory, receiving dominion and everlasting power. It was more than prophecy, it was a window into eternity, a glimpse of the coming Messiah standing before the very throne that governs all creation. The throne Daniel saw was not chaos or mystery, it was justice. It was the assurance that even when empires crumble and kings fall, God still reigns. His throne endures forever. Centuries passed, empires rose and fell, and on a lonely island called Patmos, an old man sat in exile. His name was John, the disciple who once leaned on Jesus' chest at supper. But now he was far from the noise of men, surrounded only by sea, silence, and spirit. Then heaven opened. Immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. John saw it, the throne of God, radiant like jasper and carnelian. A rainbow encircled it like an emerald, and flashes of lightning burst from its heart. Before it burned 7 lamps of fire, the 7 spirits of God, and before the throne stretched a sea of glass, clear as crystal. Around the throne, 24 elders clothed in white sat upon their own thrones, casting down their crowns before the Almighty. And 4 living creatures, reminiscent of Ezekiel's vision, cried out day and night, "Holy, holy, holy, Lord God Almighty, who was, and is to come." John saw not only the throne, he saw the Lamb standing before it, slain yet alive, worthy to open the scroll of destiny. The same Lamb who once walked among men now stood as King of Kings, reigning forever. In that vision, the mystery was complete. What Moses could not see, what Ezekiel described in fire, what Isaiah trembled before, what Daniel glimpsed in judgment, John beheld in fullness. He saw the throne of grace and glory, the center of heaven's song and earth's hope. 5 men, 5 encounters, 5 revelations of one throne. Moses saw the passing glory, Ezekiel saw the moving throne, Isaiah saw the burning holiness, Daniel saw the throne of judgment, and John saw the throne of redemption. Each vision peeled back a layer of eternity, revealing not just a seat of power, but a story of purpose. From law to prophecy to grace, from the mountain to the temple to the exile to the heavens themselves. All roads led to one truth: God reigns, always, everywhere, forever. And though these 5 men saw the throne with their eyes or in visions, you and I, through Christ, are invited to draw near to it ourselves. For the veil that once separated man from that holy place has been torn. The throne once hidden in fire and light now welcomes the humble heart through the blood of the Lamb. These were the 5 men who saw the throne of God, each one forever changed by what they witnessed. What about you? If you were to stand before that throne today, what would your heart say? Would it tremble in fear or bow in awe? If this journey through Scripture opened your eyes to new mysteries of God's glory, then take a moment. Like this video, subscribe to the Bible and Reflection, and tell us in the comments, which of these 5 visions moved you the most and why? Until next time, keep seeking the mysteries beyond the veil, because the same God who revealed his throne to them is still revealing his glory to those who truly seek him.